Hello children. Today I'll explain you the third poem of your literature textbook Flamingo of your class, and the name of the poem is Keeping Quiet. This poem is written by Pablo Neruda, a poet who won Nobel Prize for Literature in 1971. Through this poem, the poet has urged we human beings to stop for a while and introspect ourselves. He wishes us to think about our evil actions and selfish deeds which have brought destruction in the world. So he says that we should count up to 12 and stop all our activities and quietly, silently introspect ourselves, look into ourselves that what wrong we are doing to this world. Now I'll read the first stanza to you. Now we will count to 12 and we will all keep still. For once on the face of the earth, let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. In these lines, the poet urges us to be quiet and count up to 12. He says that we should count up to 12 means maybe he is telling us to be quiet for 12 minutes, for 12 seconds, or maybe for 12 hours. No one knows what his intention is, but he says he wants us to be quiet for some time. He also says that let's not speak any language. Let's stop for 1 second. So he says that we should stop speaking any language. There shouldn't be any difficulty in understanding each other if there won't be any language. So he says that we should not even move our arms, means we should remain still, motionless for some time, probably for 12 seconds, and we should do something different that he wants us to do. So let's see in the next stanza what he says. It would be an exotic moment. Without rush, without engines, we would all be together in a sudden strangeness. According to him, it would be an exotic moment. Exotic means very exciting, very different, very strange, very unusual. It would be an unusual moment because there will not be any rush, when we all will remain quiet and still and motionless, introspecting each other, introspecting ourselves. We will not be moving, so there won't be any rush. Without engines means he says that we should stop each and every activity. We should even stop all the machines. Engines refers to machines here, that we are all the time surrounded by various kinds of sounds. We are always in a hurry. We are always rushing. And we are surrounded by a number of machines that keep on creating different kind of sounds. And we are so much used to of these things that we cannot even imagine living without such things. So he says that for a moment we should remain quiet and still, so that there won't be any rush, there won't be any sound of engines. And in this exciting and strange moment, the poet expects us to be together. When we all will be quiet, we all will be together and we'll experience the silence all around us. He says that this period would be unusual. It would be a strange period of time when we all will remain quiet and we will experience something different, and that would be the love, the understanding, the togetherness that we can never understand because we are always in a hurry and we are leading a life which is just like a machine. We have become like robots. We are just working and working all the time. So he wants us to come out of that sort of life just for few seconds and experience the different thing, the togetherness of humanity. In the third stanza, he says, Fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales, and the man gathering salt would look at his hurt hands. According to the poet, all the time we remain busy in our activities. We have no time to think about others or about ourselves. We are not even bothered about our wounds, about our pains, about our worries. We just keep on working like machines all the time. So he has given the example of a fisherman and a man who gathers salt. He says that when in this particular moment of silence and stillness, fishermen will stop working. So they will not go to the sea and they will not catch the fishes. So the fishes and whales, they will all remain safe. So through this line, the poet wants to say that we humans, because of our selfish needs and desires and actions, have created a lot of destruction in the world. He says that when we will stop for a while, we'll think of it, we'll introspect ourselves that what harm we are doing to the nature, to the innocent creatures. We are killing them for our selfish needs. So he says that fishermen will stop going to the sea for a while, and in that period of time, the fishes will be safe in the sea. And that man who always keeps on gathering salt, he would also stop for a while, and that moment he would look at his hurt hands. He would look at his hands and see that he has no time even to care for his own hands from which he gathers the salt near the sea. At this particular time, he will think about himself. So, the poet says that both nature and humans have not given time to themselves. Now it's time to give time to ourselves and think about nature as well as ourselves. Now let's see the fourth stanza. Those who prepare green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, victory with no survivors, would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers, in the shade doing nothing. In this stanza, the poet talks about brotherhood and harmony. He says that those people who have always been responsible for the wars, those people who have always created weapons, poisonous chemical gases for wars, have brought death and destruction into this world. So the poet says that all such people who are at the foundation of destruction should stop their activities. They should leave such activities which are bringing destruction to the world. They should leave their clothes, dirty clothes, which are stained with the blood of innocent people, and they should wear clean and new clothes, and they should walk hand in hand with their brothers. This means that we should develop brotherhood, we should develop love among each other instead of thinking of wars and bringing destruction and death into this world. So the poet says that those people who are always thinking of war should stop and should think of peace and brotherhood in the world. Let's see the fifth stanza. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life is what it is about. I want no truck with death. So, in this stanza, the poet says that when he has urged people to wait for a while to stop their activities, it should not be confused with total inactivity. Means we should not stop working whatever we are doing in this world. Instead, he wants us to introspect ourselves. Stopping for a while means thinking in silence, not leaving all the activity, all the necessary activities that we are doing. So, he should not be misunderstood. And he says that what he wants is that there should be brotherhood in the world instead of death. So he doesn't want anything which brings death into the world. He says that God has given us life to live, not to bring death. Now we have the sixth stanza. The poet says, if we were not so single minded about keeping our lives moving, and for once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. In these lines, the poet says that instead he advises people that they should not only think about themselves all the time, they should not be self centered or selfish, but for a while, once, they should stop being self centered and they should think about others. They should not only all the time think about meeting their own needs. Instead, they should go in a silence because in such a moment they would help others. And also, the poet says that this is the time of introspection because this time will overcome their sadness of failing to understand themselves. People are so busy all the time that they have no time to understand even themselves. And he says that people themselves have threatened themselves with death by their own activities. So he says that this particular moment of silence will give them some time to understand themselves in a better manner. Here we have the last stanza. Perhaps the earth can teach us, as when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. Now, I'll count up to 12 and you will keep quiet and I'll go. The poet says that we should learn from earth that how quietly every business goes on. Because inside earth lies a small seed which appears to be dead, but no one knows that one day a huge tree will emerge out of that small seed. But every such business of nature goes on quietly, silently, without any noise, without any disturbance. So he says that in the same manner, we should also learn to live our lives. We should keep on doing our business, but we should not disturb nature. We should not harm others. We should not destruct and distract others. We should be very quiet and quietly live our life. In the end, the poet says that whatever he wanted to say, he has expressed in his poem, and now he wants to leave. He wants to leave so that we should start introspecting ourselves. So he says that I'll count up to 12 and you will keep quiet and I will go. So, through his poem, the poet has advised human beings to introspect themselves so that they learn something good out of nature and through this silence.